So today I'm talking Home Alone 5. Now you may have seen my Home Alone 4 review. I was pretty hard on that film. I still think rightfully so, as most critics, like 99.9% critics have been. But I'm pleased to say Home Alone 5 is definitely a few steps better than Home Alone 4. Now it's nowhere near as good as the first two, but it's better. In fact, some people even prefer Home Alone 5 over Home Alone 3. Now, I won't go that far, but I will say right off the bat, watching this movie, at least this looks like a movie instead of a TV pilot like Home Alone 4 did. In this film, a family, they move into a house around Christmas time. The little boy, Finn, he thinks that the house is haunted for various reasons, but what's really going on is that in the basement, unbeknownst to the family, there is a valuable painting. There are some thieves who want to break in, steal the painting. Finn's parents end up going to a work Christmas party, leaving Finn home alone, although not really. His sister's also there, but she's locked in the basement, so Finn is by himself. The thieves show up and try to break in, and it's up to him to fend his house, not knowing what they really are up to, is just trying to get the painting that is in the basement. Right off the bat, the little boy here, Finn, is much better lead than in the previous film. He's very likable. He thinks the house is haunted, and so it's kind of amusing seeing him react to that and how he plans for the thieves and that. The way they do the montage where he's setting up for the thieves, not as cool as in the first two films, but still they do something where you like see him working in this section and then you see him working over here like at the same time. It's a little camera trick or a special effects trick. It's pretty cool for a TV movie. And that's worth noting. This is like Home Alone 4, a TV movie. But the difference is this one looks like a movie. The last one was an emphasis on TV. This one more emphasis on movie. Now, could this have played in theaters? I don't think it's that good. The other performances are, for the most part, good. The dad feels a little bit too much like a caricature of maybe a sitcom dad or maybe a dad on Saturday Night Live in one of those sketches. But he brings some humor to the movie. But of course, what would a Home Alone movie be without great villains and pranks? And that's where the movie kind of falters a little bit. Malcolm McDowell as the head villain, he does a pretty good job. They don't give him a lot to do, which is a shame because you really think he would be great in this role. I was excited when I saw Debbie Mazur is also one of the bad guys here. You might remember she did such a great job playing villainous characters in the 90s, but here she has nothing to do. Her whole shtick is that she's upset over a love lost. And so every time a character mentions her ex's name, she goes, "Oh, okay," and she just bursts into tears and crying about, "No, that doesn't sound funny here. Guess what? It doesn't sound funny in the movie either." They definitely could have done more with Debbie Mazur. Again, we know from the 90s that she is great at playing a villain. Pretty disappointed that they don't do more with her character here. And then there's a third bad guy played by Eddie Steeples. You might remember him from My Name is Earl. But let's talk about pranks. The pranks here, definitely not as good as in the first two films by far. Definitely this is where the TV budget comes in. The pranks, when I think about them, what do I remember? Well, Debbie Mazur's character, at one point she gets stuck in a window. Why they don't just lift up the window, I don't know, but they try yanking her out. And the kid, he's shooting little pellets at her hind end, and she thinks it's the guys smacking her bottom. And that, again, is one of those things, if it doesn't sound funny here, it's because it's not. Probably the prank most like the first Home Alone film takes place in the garage with the snow machine that's shooting pellets, and it's like the first film. It's one of those pranks that in real life would kill someone, but not in this film. But even then, I'm thinking to myself, now wait a minute, that prank is destroying that part of that house, that garage door. So the dad probably the dad would rather they just steal the painting instead of having him now having to buy a new garage door. Probably the two things that this entry brings to the franchise that we haven't seen before. There's no older character that the kid thinks is a villain but then turns out to be an ally. But he does get an ally through a fellow video gamer. He likes to play video games, and so he's contacting this guy with his headset. The man doesn't realize he's doing video games with a kid until later on in the movie. And when he finds out, oh, I'm communicating with this kid who thieves are breaking into this kid's house, he tries to call the cops and alert the parents, and it all just horribly backfires on the guy. And that is kind of amusing in a way. Side note, great to see Ed Asner in this. He plays the mom's boss, and he's not quite all there, so that's kind of amusing, some of the things he says. But overall, Home Alone 5 just doesn't measure up to Home Alone 1 and 2. Some people, again, prefer this over 3. The scale is not there. You might prefer the story over the third one. the third one's story, but the scale is definitely not there. I would give Home Alone 5 a solid 2.5 out of 4. It's a decent Christmas movie for right after Halloween, when maybe it's not quite time to break out Rudolph and Frosty and those Christmas classics. It's a solid appetizer for the main course, which would be Home Alone 1 and 2. Again, maybe something to watch right after Halloween. What did you think of Home Alone 5? What do you think of this franchise in general? Let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, this has been Josh with Movies Please. Thanks for watching.